Welcome again at the BIM World 2019 and our BIM studio. Today we have a great round of people here. I want to introduce you to each of them. So on my right there is Marc Grosskopf of TÜV Süd. And then we have here our AI startup, Jack Contillo. On my left side, you can see Ralf Musler of Autodesk, and I also want to welcome Bosch Power Tools here, and this is Mark Joost Benz, and we will now directly start into our discussion. We had an exciting panel yesterday with all of you, and you showed a lot of examples for digital transformation that are the best practice, and I want to start with you, Ralf. Can you tell us more about those best practice examples?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, for us it's a pleasure. I mean, we are now for the fourth time here at BIM World. And this year we really thought about, it's how our industry is changing, how the construction industry is changing. And this time we really thought it's time not to talk theoretically. It was really about to show real world examples. And then we had, let's say, the great opportunity to work with my colleagues from TÜV Süd, from Bosch, and from startup, because we realized how we can change the construction industry, moving from analog to digital. And we thought, yeah, we can, if we are partnering with industry leaders and with startups who are the transforming forces in the market. And over 15 months now, we really had the pleasure to work on new use cases in the construction industry. One was defined in the construction challenge, where Bosch was involved, TÜV was involved, other industry leaders. And we thought, okay, one case was on construction warranty. And let's say how we can solve this was a challenge for the startups, and that's why Contillo was up in the discussion and showed what they did. And on the other side, we also had the real world project, and that was the new Singapore headquarter from TÜV Süd. So, and therefore for us it was great to give the audience and also the industry some insights how we are working together to change the construction industry, and that was our big pleasure yesterday sharing, and I think it was really well perceived.
Sounds exciting, and we will also talk more about the Singapore project later on. But now I want to ask Mark. So, can you give us some more examples?
Sure. As Ralf mentioned correctly, also for us as TÜV Süd, it is quite important to become more agile, more flexible. And to do that, we really participated actively in the Startup Challenge. So as a sponsor, not only for the 2019 Smart Construction Challenge, but also for the Smart Buildings Challenge in 2020. So we will also announce some results then at the later stage at the Bosch Connected World in February in Berlin again. So, and we're in the lucky position that we have our own building that we will later own and operate to a certain extent in Singapore, which is our new headquarter, Asia Pacific headquarter. And there we can try out a lot of technologies, and that's exactly why we are here. Because as TÜV Süd, we bring in our domain know-how. So we have our experts that can detect defects everywhere, and we know what actually is a defect and how a defect should be described based on standards and regulations. But we have a little bit the gap to find the right technology to integrate our know-how into the life cycle of a project. So that's why we team up with all the partners here.
Exciting. So you are, let's say, you have an open innovation approach here for your next huge smart construction projects. I also want to ask Bosch here. Mark, can you tell us more about also your best practice examples here?
Yeah, exactly. One was for sure the construction challenge in that context. And we provided from Bosch side the sensors and IoT technology to it. And it proved to us, again, the fact that it is of crucial importance to partner up in order to drive really the digitalization in construction site. Not only with established partners like Autodesk and TÜV Süd, but also with startups in that context. Because that's the only way how we can drive that market and how we can successfully be in that market. Other examples which we are working on right now, and as you rightly said, I'm from Power Tools, we're working on some projects related to IoT, for example, a smart helmet in context not only showing whether the construction worker is wearing that helmet and therefore proving security and safety, but also performance, so that we could track where he is on the construction site. We also have other projects going on, for example, with regard to asset management, to track different assets on the construction site, but also other solutions like, which we show here also at the BIM World, the Refine My Site project, which is a lean management tool for communication, documentation and collaboration. I think these are little proofs and concepts and showing that the construction industry is very important also for us, for Bosch.
Yeah, I think so. Especially IoT that could happen much more in the smart construction. At the moment, because every cable, every brick could be smart, but at the moment we have a lot, let's say, non-connected material, and there's a lot still to do, and there are many opportunities there.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. Thank you. And Jack, you are the startup here in this round, and can you tell us more about your startup, what you're doing, and your role also in the project?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sonia. So, as part of the Smart Construction Challenge, we were one of the startups selected. And so we bring the AI and computer vision technology to this use case. And so, we are very cognizant of the privilege and opportunity we have here as a startup. My colleagues sitting here are all, industry leaders, but we get the chance to test that technology in a real world use case. And I think it's important that companies, large companies like TÜV Süd and Bosch and Autodesk, take that opportunity to test these innovative technologies. What we're doing is we are taking 3D data on the site and we're analyzing that using AI. And then the intention is that we then link up with the expertise that TÜV Süd already has within their company. And then we can get to a place where we can start to detect these defects and these issues automatically, and we report out them, and that will then hopefully make their experts, their jobs easier, because they can focus on those higher risk issues rather than the smaller things. So it can help prioritize their time.
Amazing. So, and clear, it's exciting for you to be involved in such a huge project. As a startup and with those players here at the table. So
yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's great. We have already heard a lot about the Singapore project you are working, so all of you are working jointly on this project. Can you tell us more about the Singapore projects?
Sure. We as TÜV Süd started to decide we want to build a new headquarter in Asia Pacific. So we decided to take the opportunity to move from our old building in Singapore to our new location, the 15 IBP building. And later on, we are the owner. So we always say walk the talk. Yeah? So what we sell, we also want to try out, of course, in our own building. And I can tell you it's not that easy to convince also an internal stakeholder to buy into all the technology. So we had also some quite internal discussions. But later on now we find out that it is absolutely valuable to combine our domain know-how that we already have in the house for 150 years with the new technologies and enrich actually our core services at our 15 IBP building and try out as much as possible. So one technology that Contilio offers is quite important for us to be able to combine the real world with the BIM model and make this layover happen with the point cloud technology, where we can then place our defects directly in the real world and get additional information out of the BIM model, out of the libraries, to support our experts later on to evaluate the defects that might come up, hopefully not that much, with additional information, so they can evaluate in much more details. Mm-hmm. So that's actually our benefit. So I'm also happy that we have with Bosch also a partner on board that comes up with all the sensor technology that is important for us, again, to enrich our evaluation in detail. With Contilio, as mentioned, we have the new technology on board.
Sounds fantastic. So I think Bosch, for the Bosch power tool part. So can you tell, this is the smart building. So can you give us some examples on your role? So what are you doing exactly with the sensors in the building? Because you can do a lot, yeah? So it would be interesting what your plans are for the Singapore headquarters of TÜV Süd.
Maybe I just give another example with regard to that, which was also an interesting project together with TÜV Süd in that context, which was concentrating on lifts, in that lift management actually. And just imagine that you have worldwide over 12 million lifts operating. And out of these 12 million lifts you have, if I'm not mistaken, over 160,000 defects per day on lifts. You have problems with regard that sometimes you don't have the skilled people in place, so you have a high demand for remote control and remote maintenance in that context. And here we did a great project together with TÜV Süd, and we delivered actually the IoT competence and the sensors to that, to a retrofit solution. So brand agnostic, different lifts can operate that, and we can do that after it was installed. And TÜV Süd was bringing the domain expertise in that context with regard to elevators and lifts. And by combining these, then having an offering of this lift manager was, I think, a very, very good project and collaboration in that context. And I think right now we have rolled out it over 117 lifts, I think, in Singapore already. So quite a success in that context.
And besides the lifts, so which other sensors are you using, like temperature, lighting of the building, and so on?
With regard to the eyesight project, so the smart helmet, we have gyro sensors, actually acceleration sensors in that context, to identify whether this person is falling or not, and also the position which we can locate in that context. So these are types of functionalities in that context.
Okay, so the work safety and also the positioning of the workers in the building phase are digitized.
Correct.
Wonderful. Okay, interesting. So great examples here from the Singapore. And what are the next steps now?
Yes, I mean, what are the next steps? I think, I mean, just linking for one more time back to what we did together. I mean, for us, it was a great opportunity to really showcase what's important for the industry currently. And Autodesk Technology was heavily involved also in the Singapore headquarter project. And I think looking forward, and also what we could, what we could showcase working together, I mean, a big topic in the construction industry is breaking up silos. I mean, that's a big challenge, and that's where we really lose efficiency. So the big topic right now for the construction industry is that we are working on what we call a common data environment, or a platform where really the information, the project information, can move consistently. So, and that was for us a great opportunity. We call it connected BIM, or if you speak in terms of, more industry word is common data environment. Really, these are the big topics. And then if you really have this kind of common data environment and you really have better access to data, then you are really coming to new use cases. And the new use cases we could demonstrate here was what Jack was talking about when they were driving the use cases on AI, let's say giving semantic and intelligence to point clouds and bringing in the competencies from experts like TÜV Süd. So really bringing what we typically just have in our minds, bring it into algorithms, make it technical. And I think that's exciting. I mean, looking forward, I mean, the industry is jumping between different majority levels, how we call it. And I think currently the next step we are taking as an industry is getting more consistent data. That's a common data environment. But then data analytics, AI, that's a big topic, or where we are also doing a lot of very interesting prototypes, is on what we call generative design. So that's really using the computer not only as a drafting engine or to create a digital twin, then it is really about building optimization. So the computer can suddenly process better design options, and experts can choose the different options. And that's what we are currently working on, and we are excited to share more info, also what we are doing in the generative design arena in the context of all the other projects and topics mentioned.
Thank you. And this and the data environment, if there's a lot more data coming also via IoT and additional, so you have already a lot of data, but there is so the future will be much more data. So we exactly need those artificial intelligence mechanisms and to really generate also a lot of information out of the evaluation of this data.
Yeah, I think we have already a lot of data, but what just as described, we don't have it in a way that everybody can connect to those information and that everybody can use those information, so and put it into context. And I think that's a big topic. And I mean, IoT is a critical part in terms of creating predictive use case scenarios. I mean, for example, in buildings, instead of being reactive, better understand how is really the building behavior, then you can influence energy levels or you can influence security levels. And I think that's a new dimension, and the combination of all these topics, and therefore we also had internal discussions. I think BIM is one part of it, but typically we understand it as a kind of digital twin, but processing information, bringing the new use cases to the industry and creating values for the owner, operators and the stakeholders involved. I mean, that's a great opportunity, and that's why construction industry is currently so exciting.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting. So we stay all tuned for the next steps, and we love to hear more about the Singapore project soon. So I want to, are there any, let's say, next steps you want to also mention here?
Sure. I mean, especially for us, it's now important to finalize the construction in the best way possible, using new technologies and bringing then the building into the operation, and using the BIM information, of course, during the operation later on. BIM 2FM is there the keyword. And hopefully, yeah, I will be back next year to the BIM world and present then the outcome of where we are with our building. Hopefully it will be finished in May, June next year. So we have the outcome and would be happy to present this.
Thank you very much for joining us in this interesting discussion, and we are looking forward to hearing more about the Singapore project and further BIM projects at the BIM World 2020. And will you be at the BIM World 2020?
For sure, and I will be happy to present actually the outcome of the project in Singapore, hopefully with not that many defects, hopefully with a good story, but I'm pretty sure it will happen.
And you will also join us for 2020.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are, let's say we joined BIM World onwards from the beginning. So therefore we will also join next year. And as just described, I mean, the construction industry, I mean, we are we have a great momentum in the construction industry, and we are happy to share more insights on our project as like this year.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, we have this great momentum right now in the construction industry. That's something which we should use, definitely. And also with regard to next year, we'll be happy to join. Absolutely.
Wonderful. So you will see us all next year at the BIM 2020. Thank you.